I was in an environment that was unsafe, and I had to move out of my own home with my son in the middle of the night. Think about this as a time during COVID where all business owners were like wondering, how am I going to move forward with our businesses? And that was one pivotal moment that made me realize that you either stay and live with all your doubts and your fears, or you take the courage and take action and move forward and recreate, reinvent, and reimagine your life. So
Welcome to the Summit series of Voices of Courage Asia, where we celebrate leaders, changemakers, and visionaries who embody courage and drive transformative impact. I'm your host, Priscilla Thang, and in this special series, we explore stories of resilience, leadership, and also bold steps taken to create meaningful change. Today's guest is a powerhouse in public speaking, training, and personal development. With over 28 years of experience, she has inspired thousands as a trainer, speaker, author, and an MC. As the founder and director of Positive Focus Private Limited, she integrates positive psychology, neuro-linguistic programming, and communication techniques to empower educators, parents, leaders, and entrepreneurs. Beyond her professional success, she is a philanthropist at heart and volunteers actively. As a single mother, her journey of resilience continues to inspire many. It is my great pleasure to welcome Has to the show. Has, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you feeling?
wow, Priscilla, I'm feeling so honored, and thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. And I'm humbled and I'm excited at what we're going to unpack today.
Right, I'm equally excited. I just can't wait to start. Well, let's talk a bit about personal journey and leadership, shall we?
Yes, absolutely.
Right. What does inspiring courage for transformative leadership mean to you personally?
Wow, thank you for that question. There's so many ways to look into courage. And today I would like to explore this idea of seeing courage as shifting energy. You see, think about a time when we're afraid to do something. What were the emotions? It is doubt, fear, insecurity, shame, guilt, all these. But the minute when courage comes, when we have that energy of courage, when we make a decision to do something, and that's where everything shifts. So to me, courage in leadership and transformative impact is really to shift that energy from all that is beneath courage, to shift it so that we can take action and move into the direction where we inspire to be and to do.
Wow, Has, I love your answer. It talks about shifting of energy, right mindset, and just taking action. Wow, this is amazing. I really love what you just shared. Moving on, I would just like to ask, what's a pivotal moment when courage transformed how you lead or approach challenges?
Wow. So at this point, I would like to share about something that happened to me about 26 years ago, where I had to make that decision because I was in an environment that was unsafe. And I had to move out of my own home with my son in the middle of the night because I had no other choice. And that was one pivotal moment that made me realize that you either stay and live with all your doubts and your fears, or you take the courage and take action and move forward and recreate, reinvent, and reimagine your life. So that was a pivotal moment for me, that courage is really about just do it and move.
Wow, Has, thank you so much for sharing that. When you said just do it, I'm reminded of Nike's slogan, just do it and do it afraid, right?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. Thank you for adding that on. Just do it and do it afraid.
Amazing, amazing. So going on, I have one question. Can you share a story of when you had to make a courageous decision as a leader?
Wow. So over the years, there were many instances, but I would like to share one, and that was during the COVID. And there was a time when I was the founding president of a women networking group. It was an all-women networking group. And think about this as a time during COVID where all business owners were like wondering, how am I going to move forward with our businesses? And as a group, we were actually feeding on each other's negativity in a way, like, oh, this is so difficult. I can't pay my rent. I can't this, I can't that. But then I went for a talk, okay, and this talk really shook me, and it got me thinking that, hey, listen, as leaders, we have the power to create change. So because of that, I got the courage to think about, yes, we are put in this leadership position. Why can't we do something together? And because of that, what I did was I sought help, and I managed to get the whole group to come together and co-author a book. And because of that, that really inspired me, because then I realized that sometimes as leaders, when we make a decision and we are authentic about it, and because it's not about us, it's about everyone involved, it was magical. And we managed to get the book out within 8 months. And then we also donated it for children who needs education globally through the foundation. So I found that that was a great moment for me to always recall, especially in times like COVID, where no one has ever experienced that kind of situations before.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing. I think when you mentioned authenticity, that really resonated with me. I think authenticity is truly something that our viewers can also relate to. The book, tell me, what's the title of that book?
Well, the title of the book was called Venus Rising, and it's really about 21 women entrepreneurs and about their journey of resilience and courage. And what I've learned through that also is that even to write a small chapter, right, we need to have the courage to want to share about it. Right. So through that process, it was a really courageous exploration of each and every individual about, do I have the courage to talk about this at all or share it? So that's what it's all about women entrepreneurs and about resilience, about growth and entrepreneurship.
Amazing. I should check that book out. Right. Let's move on to the next question. What role does courage play in driving social impact and creating meaningful change in the various communities?
Wow. I think most importantly is there are many aspects of courage. So here we're talking about social impact, right? So let's talk about social courage. In the first place, we must have the social courage to stand up for what we value. Right, many times, especially in this world when we are so exposed by social media, everybody wants to look like this person or want to sound like that person. But we must have the social courage to stand our ground and be authentic. Again, the word authentic, and to create that kind of impact that you want to create that is truly you. So stand up for your social courage.
I love that. I think I keep hearing authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I think we all can afford to embrace authenticity a bit more in our daily lives.
Yes, absolutely. And not just that, because when you are authentic, you will align or radiate that energy of people who may need to hear you. Right? Because when you stand in your authentic light, others will give themselves the permission to stand in their authentic light as well.
Exactly. There's truly so much power in being vulnerable and being authentic, right?
Absolutely.
Yes, love that. Right, Has, can you highlight an example of transformative leadership that has inspired you recently?
Because I work with different audience, right? I would like to share that transformative leadership, sometimes it doesn't have to be a big thing. It could be a parent who advocate for their child. Or for example, one of my clients, they came to me because they wanted me to do meditation with a teenager. So when I asked the why, and they say because the child is lack of motivation and actually the marriage is on the rocks and things like that. So what I did was I said, okay, since you all have tried everything, why not try to do something as a family? So like the parents said, no way, my child is not going to talk in front of. I said, give it a shot. if your child can see you in a structured approach, you and your husband being vulnerable, and it's not many parents who want to do that. Now, that family, that particular family, we had an 8-week program, and by the 4th week, the teenager, he was like, not interested, suddenly like listen to the parents becoming vulnerable and sharing their own fears, and that shifted in them. So sometimes courage is really about starting from the home, starting with the people you love. It's not a big thing out there. And let's talk about leaders who have the courage to let go of control. Like I've seen leaders who want to control so many things, but it takes a lot of courage for you to let go. Because when you let go of the control, you allow others to rise and shine. With their own capabilities and competencies, it will all begin to emerge and shine. So this is what I mean by seeing transformative courage through leadership. It could be at home, it could be at the workplace.
Exactly. That's so beautifully said. Leadership starts from home, but it translates as well into the marketplace, into our offices. So I think it truly, when we talk about vulnerability and authenticity, that helps us to relate so much better with those around us. Creates that safe space. Amazing. Right. Moving on. How do you think communities like class living contribute to fostering courageous leaders?
I must say, I am quite new with class living and I'm loving it. Why? Because I find this gentle energy. Why I call it gentle is like it gives you permission to rise when you want to rise. There's a lot of opportunities, Okay, so you want to volunteer in this, you can do that. Which area do you want to go into? And I like that. I like that freedom of choice. You go into which direction that you want to embrace leadership with your strengths. And also, we can learn from each other. There is this supportive element where women don't have to, have you experience this? Like when you see a tall poppy, this is a tall poppy syndrome, like a flower, for example. When it's taller than the rest, people would tend to cut it off. And this is what I was. People are not comfortable with people who are different. In fact, because we're afraid when people are different, it's like we start thinking, this is not a safe space for me. But in class living, what I love about the whole mission is that we are generating leaders out of you, and your leadership comes in different seasons of your life, and that's very respectful.
That's truly beautiful. When you talk about that gentle leadership, so there is a place for different kinds of leadership styles. And when you say gentle leadership, just having that freedom of choice to be who we are.
Absolutely.
That's so beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Has.
And I'm really honored to be a part of class living as well.
Amazing. How can mentorship inspire courage and empower future transformative leaders?
Mentorship is such a big word, right? Sometimes you wonder, are you a qualified mentor? Or what do you need to have in order to be a mentor and things like that, right? To me, it's really about self-leadership. I think we've come to a day and age where, again, the word authenticity is going to emerge. People want to be around people who are real, people who are authentic. And you don't have to get people to say, hey, listen to me, right, to mentor. When you lead yourself and people are inspired, and that's where people feel comfortable with you, and that's how you can support others who wants to be supported. So I see mentorship as something that is really living the essence of self-leadership and allowing others to come into your space where they can also learn from your experience, and vice versa, you learn from them too.
Yes, I think that's truly the essence of what it means, in terms of mentorship. I think I see that's the reason why so many people are so drawn to you, Has. From the way that you relate to others in such a vulnerable and authentic way, yet sharing your experience so generously.
Thank you.
Right, Has, coming on to the summit and the event, what motivated you to participate in this year's Her Courage Leaders Summit? And what does it mean for you?
Wow. First and foremost, when I was invited to be one of the MCs and the host, I told myself, yes, I want to be a part of it, because I'm an advocate for women empowerment. And at the same time, I would like to also have more audiences to explore the possibilities of women empowerment in a more holistic viewpoint. Now, during one of the panel discussions, talk about how can we empower women through understanding the male perspective and the male leaders through understanding woman perspective, and how can we then find that sweet spot so that the next generation can have a more balanced approach. Now, why do I say this? It's because in my experience of working with students in camps, like a 10, 11-year-old many years ago would say, women are very scary. I say, why do you say that? My mother is so fierce. Like you see that girl, very fierce, very scary, right? And then it got me thinking, because I have a son, it's not healthy for boys thinking that women are very scary, is it? Right? So, and also, to also think about woman empowerment as more of a feminine power. Now, there's a feminine power in both the male and the female. What do I mean by feminine power? It's a power to be vulnerable, because women are better at that. But men can also learn that aspects, because there is that care, that power of the feminine power within them that they can radiate. And I hope this message will be amplified so that we can all be a more balanced, holistic, and positive community.
Right, that's so beautifully said. I love what you said about having that balance between the male and the female. It truly it's not about one being better than the other, but when you have when there's balance, truly we are able to support each other in a much more holistic way.
Yes,
So,
and sometimes I find that the world is so competitive, and because of that, women are not. They have to fight, and they have to raise the masculine energy. They have to raise it so high. And that's why, from the perspective of a child, or maybe from the perspective of a competitor, oh, that one is very competitive, very harsh. Yeah, so I hope that with this conversation, we can have better perspective and look at things with a new eye.
yeah, very well said. It's truly balance is the key to life. That's what I truly believe. So thanks for sharing and reinforcing that message. I believe our viewers here would have a great takeaway from that.
Thank you.
Right. If there's one piece of advice about courage and leadership you could give to the next generation of women leaders, what would that be?
Wow, courage and leadership for women leaders. Well, first and foremost, I would say make courage as gentle as you can. Because it's so easy for us to say, just do it, or be courageous, be brave. But how? And it all starts with awareness. It all starts with the awareness and the courage to look into our weaknesses, to look into our strengths, and to even look into our past. Because some of us may have gone through certain things that we are scared to look at when we were young. Understand your self-sabotaging patterns, your habits, and have the courage to think of physical courage, because sometimes we know that to make a change, it takes habits. But many people do not want to make a change because they know it's hard work, and that is physical courage. Intellectual courage is the courage to change your perception, to learn new things. To learn, maybe in the past you didn't enjoy school, or you were bullied, you didn't enjoy certain environment, but have that intellectual courage to learn new things and be amongst people that is empowering, and people who are caring and supportive as well. So I think it's a courage to explore within so that you can express without. And love you, because everyone in this world has a role to play. That's my message for the next generation of leaders.
I love that message, and I truly believe that the viewers have gotten so much value from what you just shared. It's so heartfelt. I think I have so much to ponder upon and reflect, even in my reflections tonight. So thank you so much for sharing your heart, Has. I truly feel your heartbeat.
Oh, thank you so much. And my heart is singing too.
Great. If I can Have one last question. From your perspective, how does this year's theme for the summit resonate with women's current leadership challenges?
I love it. I think it's time. And I love that founder, Lillian, is taking the courage and bold move to do this. I think we are ready to talk, to be open, to be vulnerable, to discuss, to share in a big way and in a way that is so gentle and kind. Yeah. So I think it is fantastic, especially post-COVID and what has happened over the past, I think over the past 4 years, what has happened. So it's time for us to relook, revisit, re-inspire, reimagine how we can all be courageous together.
Right. I hear, gentleness, kindness, and this keeps coming up. And I'm just reminded, and thank you so much, Has, for that beautiful reminder that courage doesn't have to be loud.
Yes.
It does not have to be in your face.
Absolutely.
But courage starts with small steps. It starts with learning. It starts with being authentic and vulnerable. So that has truly been a great takeaway even for me, as while I was listening to you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Has, for sharing your beautiful insights and your reflections, your thoughts on today's theme.
Thank you, Priscilla. You're doing such a wonderful job to bring out the courage in me to share more. Thank you so much.
And we are delighted to announce our partnership with PSB Academy, where we collaborate closely, enabling students to learn from our esteemed guests. I have with me a student representative here who will be engaging in a conversation with you. Welcome to the show. Could you please introduce yourself, Ayin, and share what motivated you to enroll at PSB Academy?
Hi, I'm Ayin, and here is me again. And thanks for including me in this amazing podcast process. And I have been learn a lot and hear a lot, especially when I hear about Miss Has talking about female power. It's a really new word. I never heard about this before, and I was getting inspired. So as the role of the representative of PSB Academy, I have to say I'm really thankful and flattering our academy can provide me such a chance and such a great environment to enjoy this podcasting process. So may I ask you 2 questions, Miss Has?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. So the first question is, if I want to be a great mentor, or if I want to find a great mentor, which quality I should searching for, or which quality I should practicing for?
That's a very interesting, thought-provoking question, Aying. Well, again, to me, it's really about the energy that resonates with you. I've always believed that there is a coach for everyone, there is a mentor for everyone, there is a speaker for everyone. Everyone is different. When you are in that space where you feel the inspiration, that is the mentor for you. Because when you look for a mentor, you would want someone whom you can relate to, resonate to, and feel inspired to make that shift. Remember, I talk about the energy from this doubt. Can I really? You think so? I have a lot of doubts. But the minute you have someone who inspire you and you are in that proximity, that closeness, you will have the courage to raise your energy, and then you will shift to the kind of person that you aspire to be. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I have the second question is, actually, it's kind of personal, but I really want to take this opportunity, since we have such a great mentor, great leader in here. I want to really talk about this. So for Gen Z, as you know, Gen Z, we are really easy to distract by the social media platform. So me, as a great example, I want to pick up my courage every day. But every day, once I just open one app, like TikTok or Snapchat, whatever, I lose my courage. I lose my focus. So can you give me some practical advice, like how I can focus on the courage, how I can focus on the goal I want to achieve?
Wow, Aying, again, that is amazing. And to be honest, it's not just about Gen Z. I can assure you that even people in my age, the baby boomers, the 50s, the 40s, we all have distractions with social media. So thank you for addressing that. All I can say right now is this. Your mind is so used to familiar patterns. So when you know that your mind wants to go into, I need to check out my social media, you need to do the opposite. All right, listen to Eileen Yap, who is one of the speakers. What she shared was, she says, do something different, right? So the first thing in the morning, I would highly recommend the first 10 minutes of the day and the last 10 minutes of the day is when your subconscious mind is most activated, and your subconscious mind will drive your behavior and your habit. So before you go to bed, visualize or say some kind of affirmation of what you want to do the next day or how you see yourself. And the first thing when you get up in the morning, like for me, I have this brainwave frequency that will organize my brain and get me to visualize. So I pay myself first, because I will be distracted if I say I'm going to get up and meditate, because before I start meditating, I will reach for my social media. So what I have is I have my brainwave music just next to me. The minute I get up, I put it on. I pay myself for 9 minutes and visualize my day, visualize what I want to achieve. And that helps me to remind and drive my behavior. I hope that makes sense to you. It may not be a brainwave music. It could be something that works for you. It could even be a vision board. This is something that I love to talk about, habit forming. So thank you for addressing this, and I hope that's useful.
Wow, thank you so much. And I will start tomorrow. And you also give me another reason why I must come to the summit, to see all these wonderful women, to see how they empower their leadership. So thank you so much for giving me this chance.
Thank you,
Thank
Aying.
you.
Yes, you're amazing.
Thank you.
And if you found inspiration in today's episode, I highly encourage you to take action, whether it's stepping out of your comfort zone and embracing new opportunities or supporting a cause that drives positive change. Stay connected with us by subscribing, sharing, and leaving a review. And if you'd like to stay connected with Miss Has, check out the links in the episode description. This has been another powerful episode of the Submit series on Voices of Courage Asia, where we inspire courage for transformative impact. Until next time, keep leading with courage and making a difference in the world. Thank you.
Mentorship is such a big word, right? Sometimes you wonder, are you a qualified mentor? Or what do you need to have in order to be a mentor and things like that, right? To me, it's really about self-leadership. I think we've come to a day and age where, again, the word authenticity is going to emerge. People want to be around people who are real, people who are authentic. And you don't have to get people to say, hey, listen to me, right, to mentor.